Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
I did not have a chance to watch Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech. I was on a video conference with our European partners with respect to Ukraine. I did have a chance to take a look at the transcript, and as far as I can tell, there was nothing new. But on the core issue, which is how do we prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, which would make it far more dangerous and would give it scope for even greater action in the region, the Prime Minister didn't offer any viable alternatives.
You're a liar. You're a liar from top to bottom. You know, it's sad for me to have to say that. Welcome to the Savage Nation. I watched Netanyahu's speech, and I would say it was the finest speech that I've watched in my entire life. I've heard great speeches before. I felt as though I was watching the Churchill of our time. I wish to God we had Netanyahu running America instead of this community organizer whose only goal is to undermine the American people and America itself. Welcome to the Savage Nation. The phone number is 855-400-7282. Now, how do you feel about a president who is such a liar that he would even lie about not watching his speech saying, I read the transcript? That is such an apparent lie. It's something that even a liberal could see through. But let's put aside the fact that Obama lies by nature. It's in his nature. He can't tell the truth even if he tried to. Now, but let's get to the big lie, which is that Netanyahu didn't offer anything new. That's a total lie. It's a total lie. Obama said this: we've offered Iran a deal, and the question is, can Iran accept the deal we offer? Do you understand what that said? Did you understand the weakness, the quisling nature of this community organizer in the White House? Not only does he lie, but he goes before Iran and says, can Iran accept the deal we offer? Not Iran must accept the deal we offer. So to me, that explains exactly why Netanyahu was forced to come here. If he has a leader that is such a capitulator as Obama, a leader who would say, can Iran accept the deal we offer? You didn't hear that speech today, did you? I'll play it for you in a minute. This explains exactly why Netanyahu was forced to come here, because he knows Obama was selling Israel down the river. But bigger than that is the issue of selling the West down the river. Because as Netanyahu clearly laid out today, this is not solely about Israel. It would be enough if it was only about Israel. But it's not only about Israel. Iran's charter calls for the destruction of the West, not just Israel. Israel is just the first in a long series of steps until the entire world is forced to submit to Sharia law, where women are stoned to death for committing to having been raped. If men rape women in Iran, they're stoned to death for having let themselves be raped. Is that the world you want your daughter to grow up in, you moronic liberals? And gays especially. What the hell is wrong with you? Didn't you hear what Netanyahu said? You can't understand that beyond your own needs and your wants, there's a bigger world. And in that bigger world, the Islamists kill homosexuals. Where is the gay movement? Where is the women's movement? Shocking, isn't it? Not shocking under this man who has so hoodwinked decent liberals that they don't even know they're in danger of disappearing from this earth. There are many questions that arose during Netanyahu's stirring speech today. And the number one was, I was in a room with a number of people, some younger than me, in fact, all younger than me, and I asked them all what they thought. And someone said, well, can you find a list of other leaders who have addressed the U.S. Congress in a joint session? The list is very long. It's a very long list, by the way. The question really is there a list of other world leaders who have addressed Congress with the President of the United States not being there? I don't know of such a precedent. It could have happened. I don't know. I heard some quotes in the speech. I heard some questions that came up. Actually, I wrote down these questions. Are you ready to this? How will Obama and his minions react to this speech? I know already. I heard it this afternoon. They're going to blame Netanyahu for Iran pulling out of the negotiations. They're going to blame Israel for wanting to live rather than wanting to die. The next question that was raised in my little room of audience was, what will Iran do in response to this speech? What reasons could Obama have to say that he will not listen to this historic speech? Did you hear what the liar said? I want you to play the liar again where he says he didn't listen to it because he was busy on a conference call with some tin horn intellectual from Ukraine. Listen to this.
I did not have a chance to watch Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech. I was on a video conference with
you hear him lying. Whenever he gives you the you know he's putting it together. Can you actually believe Obama didn't watch this speech and start breaking things and throwing things around when his entire Quisling program was shown to the world to be what it is, a sellout of Israel and of the West? You don't think he watched this speech? I find that not only hard to believe, I know it's a lie. I know it's a lie knowing that the man lied about Obamacare. I know he lied about illegal immigration. Virtually everything he's forced down the American people's throats he's lied about. So why should he tell the truth about this? But it's not about Obama. It really isn't. It's about Iran, isn't it? And what is it about Iran that we're all concerned about? Well, it's not just Iran. It's not about Iran. It's about the psychotics who have stolen Iran from the Iranian people. The psychotic throwbacks who have robbed Iran of its heritage. The psychotic throwbacks who have robbed the women of their rights. The psychotic throwbacks who have stolen Iran's history and converted it into an Islamist maniac state that threatens to undermine the entire world. Watching the speech today, I said to myself, is Netanyahu declaring war on Iran? He said so. He said at one point, make no mistake about it. If we have to, we will go it alone. He said he will go to war with Iran if he has to. I heard that. I was stirred by that. But I don't think he'll go to war alone if he has to. I think that other nations recognize the maniacs who are running Iran threaten the entire world, and they include Muslim leaders. They include the leaders of Saudi Arabia, the leaders of Jordan, the leader of Egypt, the leader of the UAE. They know that Iran wants a bomb to wipe them off the planet. They know what Iran's goal is. And so this is not about Israel, nor is it about Iran. It's about the psychotic throwbacks that you see, the mullahs. You know what a mullah is? A mullah is a religious personality who lives in another century. And they have brought Iran backwards 500 years. They want to bring the world back 500 years. Do you want to go backwards 500 years? You know, this is an issue that any progressive listening to the show should agree with me on. In other words, I don't care if you're a progressive or a regressive. This is an issue that we should all agree upon. The world cannot let the Hitlers and headscarves develop a nuclear weapon. They're not like other Muslims. They're not like Pakistan, which is a nuclear nation, because Pakistan, although it is a Muslim nation, has never threatened to commit genocide with their weapons. Pakistan, which is a Muslim nation, has never threatened to wipe another nation off the planet simply because they don't like their religion. But that's different when you look at the mullahs in Iran, who have said on many occasions that they will wipe Israel off the map. But they said something else that every Jew should listen to, and frankly, every liberal Jew should listen to. They said, just last week, one of them sent a message or tweeted, he said this. He said, we hope all the Jews move to Israel so we can wipe them all out at once and not have to chase them all around the globe. I think that would include Harvey and the others from Hollywood. I'm not sure that they would be exempt, even though they've been good liberals. I doubt very much that they would get a pass. You know, we're on the eve of a very important holiday in the Jewish calendar some call it Purim, some call it the Fast of Esther. It's about an ancient time which, strangely enough, I think begins tomorrow night. And what this is, those of you who are not Jewish, maybe you see certain cakes that are made. They're called Hamantashen, and they're formed in the shape of Haman's hat. That's what a Hamantashen is. King Haman was an evil king. He was the predecessor of the evil ones who run Iran now. And he was threatening to wipe the Jews off the map at that time. But Queen Esther, who was the queen of the Jews at the time, learned of this plot. And she warned the Jews in time in order to prevent the annihilation of the Jewish people thousands of years ago. And is celebrated as a sort of children's holiday type. Purim is a holiday of happiness and dancing and drinking. And on the eve of Purim, here in America, we had the leader of the Jewish people. Certainly Dianne Feinstein isn't the leader of the Jewish people. You think she's the leader of the Jewish people? Apparently she thinks so. But apparently she isn't the leader of the Jewish people. She's just a war profiteer, as far as I can tell, who's disguised as a U.S. senator. But let's put her aside. The issue isn't even about Jewish people. The issue is about the West and liberal values. Strangely enough, progressive liberal values are what the issue is. Progressive liberal values cannot live in Iran. Progressive liberal values that the liberals claim to cherish cannot live with a nuclear-armed Iran. And that's why the speech today was so seminal and important. It's a speech that in other times would have united America, but because we have a divider-in-chief, America is probably as divided as it was before the speech. I go back in history and I listen to some speeches, and I compare this speech to something Winston Churchill did. And I want you to listen to clip number 18 right now. Winston Churchill addressing Congress of the United States.
Sure I am that this day, now, we are the masters of our fate. That the task which has been set us is not above our strength. That its pangs and toils are not beyond our endurance. As long as we have faith in our cause and an unconquerable willpower, salvation will not be denied us. In the words of the psalmist, he shall not be afraid of evil tidings. His heart is fixed, trusting in the Lord.
Can you imagine the comparison between Winston Churchill and what we have in the White House today, the duplicitous community organizer? But before I take my first break and invite you to call the show with all of your feelings on the Savage Nation, I want to play one or two little pieces from Netanyahu's speech today. And I think we should begin with clip number 1.
In this deadly Game of Thrones, there's no place for America or for Israel. No peace for Christians, Jews, or Muslims who don't share the Islamist medieval creed. No rights for women, no freedom for anyone. So when it comes to Iran and ISIS, the enemy of your enemy is your enemy.
On that popular note, I will leave the show for a moment to go to the wonderful people who back this radio program. And when I return, I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a while. I'm going to go right to calls, because lately I've tended to take almost no calls. I've gone to unprotected talk, but I've taken almost no callers. It's a strange phenomenon. I've been more engaged in the show than I have in years, because I feel that we're coming to the end of a long line in American and world history. I feel we're on the verge of something unimaginable, and we'll talk about that when I come back right here on the Savage Nation.